And hello, everybody, and welcome. It's a Monday. Instead of take a break after watching any of the Supreme Court events going on in D.C., it's enough to make you sick. But anyway, I want to talk to you today about ways to prevent Alzheimer's. It's a new article that comes out of the British Medical Journal, and it says some of the biggest risk factors are now identified. And I'm going to give it to you as a checklist to be able to say, make sure you're not being or doing one of the issues that are on this checklist. Now, we're going to do that one, and I pulled another article that comes out about two particular supplements that have now gotten scientific recommendations to offer cognitive benefits scientifically to help you in the fight against memory loss and Alzheimer's. Now, let's first of all target one thing. There is something called dementia. There's something called lack of focus, lack of concentration, etc. That's not what we're talking about in Alzheimer's. Alzheimer's is a very advanced form of that, where the body starts a complete shutdown. Let's be very clear. Alzheimer's is a terminal illness. Just like you say, oftentimes when somebody's diagnosed with an advanced form of cancer, it's a terminal illness. Alzheimer's is a terminal illness. So let's take a look at what the British Medical Journal says are some of the issues behind this so that you can make sure that you're not becoming part of that. This article, because it says there are at least 10 risk factors that appear to have significant impact on a person's likelihood of developing Alzheimer's. I'm going to stop right there and say, we're not really talking about genetics. Is there a genetic link to this? Because mom had it or dad had it, does that mean you're going to have it? But the article goes on to say this should be targeted with preventative steps, suggesting research published in the Journal of Neurology, Neurosurgery, and Psychiatry, focusing on these factors, which includes cognitive activity, high body mass index in late life, depression, diabetes, and high blood pressure, could provide clinicians with an evidence-based guideline for prevention of Alzheimer's disease, but a lot more research is needed to come up with other promising approaches to the prevention of the condition. Notice what topped the list. High body mass index in late life. What's late life? Let's start there and say past the age of 50. Now I'm in my 60s, my late 60s. What a lot of people, are we now the new 40s? I don't think so, but for what it's worth. The article goes on to say currently about 850,000 people in the UK are affected by dementia, about 2/3 of which are Alzheimer's disease. So if statistical data holds, 2/3 of those with cognitive dementia, 2/3 will go on to develop Alzheimer's. And the condition is a leading cause of death, not helped by the fact that there have been no new drug treatments for dementia in over 20 years. Where are the drug companies? Where's the focus on this? It's now made it to the top 5 list of causes of death in the country. Experts are predicting rising case numbers as the population ages, but recent research has suggested that the number of cases appears to be reducing, possibly due to lifestyle changes, better education, and risk reduction strategies to prevent or delay dementia. Existing evidence on preventing Alzheimer's disease is challenging to interpret due to varying study designs with different endpoints and credibility. So, an international team of researchers led by Professor Jin Yu at Fudan University in China set out to review and analyze current evidence in order to produce evidence-based suggestions on Alzheimer's disease prevention. The researchers gathered 395 studies that were suitable for their analysis. From analyzing these, they proposed 21 suggestions based on the consolidated evidence available that could be used in practice by clinicians to try and prevent Alzheimer's disease. This is a list that has been available to your doctors, your neurologist, your medical team since July 20th of this year. Have you had a medical exam since then? Has anyone mentioned any of these to you? Or tried the scare tactic of saying, okay, so you're overweight. That's a major risk factor here. Within these 21 suggestions, or what they referred to as class 1 suggestions to target 19 different factors, nearly 2/3 of these suggestions would involve targeting vascular risk factors, your vascular system, leading into cardiovascular problems, such as high blood pressure and high cholesterol. And most importantly, they say lifestyle, strengthening the importance of keeping healthy to prevent Alzheimer's disease. 10 of the suggestions were backed by strong evidence, and including receiving as much education as possible in early life, receiving as much education as possible in early life. You know, when my granddaughter started into not really daycare, but actually a school that doubled as daycare, and I was just blown away by the educational level that she picked up there and how well she's doing at age 4. And it astounded me that when you look at this and say, okay, at age 3 and 4, she was already learning amazing things. Would she then, through the course of her life, be probably one of the least likely to develop Alzheimer's? I hope so. 10 of the suggestions were backed by strong evidence, including receiving as much education as possible early in life, participating in mentally stimulating activities, such as reading. Stop there. Think about this now in the midst of the COVID thing. Are your kids reading any books? Or do we rely strictly on computers and this blue screen to tell us everything we need to know? Would your kids today sit down and read a book for pleasure? Do they own any books for pleasure? Probably not. So are we setting up our own children with today's technology to advance them toward Alzheimer's? Number 2, avoiding diabetes. It's now saying that 3 out of 5 people in the United States over the age of 30 were either pre-diabetic or diabetic. 3/5 of our population. That's more than 50%. You know, I make these mental notes, and I wish I didn't have to do that. But, you know, I was watching our church service this week, and just glancing at individuals on the stage and taking a look at how many, in my opinion, just by looking at them, are in good shape, how many are just overweight, and how many are obese. And I'm not just picking on a church, but just look around, would you? Participating in activities that lower stress. So again, we go with early education, number 1, reading, number 2, avoiding diabetes, number 3, reducing stress, number 4. Can't live in a bubble. Have you ever seen a year with more stress than this? I can't wait until this year's over. It's been hideous. I lost my mother and my father-in-law this year, along with the COVID disaster. And praise God, I have the amazing thing that my wife and I had the ability to move during this time. Not that I didn't want to stay in Atlanta, but it was time for me to move on. And we're now happily situated in Florida. Number 5 or 6. dealing with depression other than with medication. Number 7, reducing head trauma. My wife made a really good analogy this week when we were just flipping through some channels trying to relax a little bit, and soccer came up many, many times. And not having any children of soccer playing age, even though my kids did it early on, the head trauma that has the potential of a sport that uses your head so dramatically. They're not wearing helmets. They don't. They have to have that feel for that soccer ball hitting them in the head. Head trauma. High blood pressure in midlife. It's now estimated 60% of Americans are on some antihypertensive past the age of 40. 60%. A further 9 suggestions had slightly weaker evidence to support them, included regular physical exercise, getting sufficient good quality sleep, maintaining a healthy body weight, maintaining good heart health in later life, avoiding smoking, and including, yes, it made the list, vitamin C in their diet. Buffered vitamin C in particular. In contrast, 2 interventions were not recommended: estrogen replacement therapy and the use of anticholinesterase inhibitors, such as Aricept and Namenda. Not recommended. The authors point to some study limitations, such as the fact that observational studies cannot indicate a clear causal relationship. In addition, the value of their suggestions might be limited. Nevertheless, the author said this was the most comprehensive and large-scale systematic review and meta-analysis for Alzheimer's disease to date, and evidence-based suggestions were put together by integrating a large amount of evidence from different types of existing research. They conclude, this study provides an advanced and contemporary survey of the evidence, suggesting that more high-quality observational prospective studies and randomized controlled trials are urgently needed to strengthen the evidence base for uncovering more promising approaches to preventing Alzheimer's disease. Okay, story number 2. A synergistic combination of tocotrienols. Now, you've heard of tocopherols, maybe, if you've been an advocate of vitamin E. Tocotrienols are also vitamin E, but derived from palm oil. Right now I'm looking at my window as a palm tree. Palm oil. And another prep called astaxanthin. Now, you don't hear about that one very often. But this combination, synergistic, these two being used together, can lead to major cognitive improvements in subjects with age-related memory decline, according to a newly published trial in the British journal World. Astaxanthin is a carotenoid, which gives certain seafood and algae their reddish color. It has a strong antioxidant properties and plays a role in the protection of oxidative damage through a variety of mechanisms, including elimination of singlet oxygen and radicals, suppression of lipid peroxidation, and regulation of gene expression associated with oxidative stress. 3 of the major reasons, 3 of the issues I dealt with when I gave my lecture a couple weeks ago here in Tampa. Its main health benefits are eye and skin health, although it's been linked to joint health and central nervous system health. It's also been reported to improve cognitive function, but it never made the top 10 list until it was combined with tocotrienols. Tocotrienol, a member of the vitamin E family, contributes to the protection of cells from oxidative stress and has been found to be able to tackle many aspects of Alzheimer's disease, such as oxidative stress, mitochondrial dysfunction, and abnormal cholesterol synthesis. Astaxanthin and vitamin E are frequently used together in cosmetics or as food additives to prevent oxidative damage. The study used a combination of tocotrienols and astaxanthin. Subjective user evaluation and cognitive testing were used to measure composite memory domain. The results indicated that the astaxanthin tocotrienol group showed a significant improvement in composite memory and verbal memory at 12 weeks. Additionally, the astaxanthin tocotrienol group showed a significant improvement in subjective ability to recall memories compared with the placebo group. Lead author and part of that group, Dr. C. Kawa, PhD, said further studies are needed in order to understand the reason for the synergistic benefit. Synergism says they work better together. You know, the analogy of putting together a rope, you put a couple strings together individually and pull them and they can break very easily. Weave them together and they can become strong and lift a car. Previous research has established synergistic antioxidant performance of tocotrienols and astaxanthins together. It would be of great interest to investigate in further studies if this outcome is due to an ameliorated absorption of astaxanthin. In other words, did the tocotrienols help with absorption, or perhaps increased antioxidant activity due to the addition of tocotrienols? U.S. researchers conducted a similar study in 2019, which focused on psychological mood state. Using a sample of 28 healthy, active, non-depressed adult subjects aged 26 to 63, researchers studied the effects of supplementation with this compared to placebo over 8 weeks. Scientists observed significant improvements in 3 critical markers, including feelings of depression, mental fatigue, and overall mood state, were found at the end of the study. Researchers reported that depression decreased by 57%, mental fatigue dropped by 36%, and 11% reported an increase in mood. Astaxanthin, tocotrienols together. If you want more information on that, by all means, call us at the office. We can help you, get you the right forms. 678-228-8900. 678-228-8900. Our website is thenutritionshop.net. We'll continue to do this each day this week. God bless you, folks. And for those of you that are in the Atlanta area, I will be in the Atlanta office next week, starting on the 19th. Still have a few openings left. Feel free to call and set up your personal time, and we can meet in person again. 678-228-8900. Website, thenutritionshop.net, SHOPPE.net. God bless you, folks. See you back here tomorrow. Take care.